Bonjour everyone, Pantoufleee here today for a new video in which we're gonna take a look at the 4 tanks you don't want to get in the 9.1 update. But before we jump into it, a little bit of context as usual. Wargaming released a video called 9.1 Update All Changes, in which, you guessed it, they talked about what is coming in the next update. And basically for the whole tier 10, they decided to move around things and to nerf buffs pretty much every single tank, which means that you're gonna have to rediscover tier 10. Is it a good or a bad thing? That's your opinion. But out of those changes, some are good, the one that we saw yesterday, and some are bad, the one we're gonna see today. So let's not lose too much time and jump directly into it. The first tank of this list is the Grille 15, unfortunately, especially for skilled players, because that thing right there is loved as a tank destroyer by most of the people that know how to play the game. But unfortunately, Wargaming decided that it was a little bit too much, and they are gonna nerf 2 things about it in the 9.1 update. The first thing is its alpha damage that is gonna lower down to 40 hit points, which means that instead of having 640 alpha damage per shot, you are gonna get only 600. And it's the same with HE because it receives a proportional decreasal. That being said, there is another thing that we need to take into consideration. Wargaming is nerfing the mobility. And to be fair, even if the alpha damage one, I don't think it's gonna affect truly the game, even if it's going to be upsetting for you to see less damage per shot. But for the mobility, it's really upsetting. Because of course, the Grille 15 main advantage, at least when you're a skilled player, was to be able to relocate extremely fast. And you're gonna drop down 4 kilometers per hour, which means that right now, instead of going at 50 kilometers per hour maximum, I'm gonna go to only 45, 44. And trust me, 45 or 44 is a huge difference. It's still going to be a mobile tank though, so it's not going to be a problem for you to relocate, but you are not gonna do it as effectively as you are currently doing it. So yeah, it's something to take into consideration for those of you that were grinding the Grille 15, because in the next update, you are probably gonna cry playing it. But do not worry, Wargaming is still buffing some things about the tank as well. They are buffing the traverse speed by 4 degrees, which will allow you to be less likely circled by pretty much everything. And on top of that, they are also doing another change, but I need to check what it is because I forgot. So I was saying they are increasing also the penetration with your regular shell by 21 millimeters. Is it really useless? Yes, but I mean, that's Wargaming for you all. The second tank of the list, and probably the one that is going to be hit the hardest, aka the IS-7, a tier 10 Soviet heavy tank from the tech tree. So basically, what is going on with the IS-7? First, Wargaming wants to nerf the hit points, because instead of having 2,650, you are gonna get only kind of 2,600. Which means that they are going to lower the hit points by 50. On top of that, they are nerfing the mobility, and on this point they really went hard, because your maximum mobility is going to drop by 5 kilometers per hour. Let that sink in, because it's truly quite a lot. And on top of that, even more, they are increasing, or decreasing I should say, the accuracy of the tank. And the IS-7 was already known as a tank that really struggled penetrating because of its accuracy, and now it's going to be even worse. But there are not only bad news, because let's say that for those nerfs you get a buff, the buff being that they are increasing by 4 degrees per second your turn rate on the hull. So in definitive, you're gonna get something that turns faster, but but with a worse accuracy, a worse top speed, and a worse overall hit points. So I'm gonna say sustainability on the battlefield. So in definitive, I do not understand why Wargaming is doing that on the IS-7. It's not a tank that was causing problems in any ways, it's just a regular one. Not a lot of people were playing it, even knowing that it was the perfect tank to start with, because it literally didn't have any big downsides, you know? And this is probably why Wargaming is acting toward that tank. But hey, this is how it is. We are only here to complain, but we all know that we don't have any power on what Wargaming will do. But I'm pretty sure that maybe in the future Wargaming will come back on their decision and maybe allow us to get the good old IS-7. So if you already have that tank, play it as much as you can, because after the 9.1 update, it's going to become unplayable. Third tank of the list, the 60 TP, the tier 10 European Tech Tree tier 10. The 60 TP. At least here, out of all the nerfs I'm going to talk about in this video, this one is the least impressive, but still something that will be pissing off a lot of players. Basically here, what Wargaming is doing is lowering down the hit points by 100, which means that you're gonna get 2.5k instead of the 2.6k you currently have. And on top of that, Wargaming is also nerfing the mobility, because you are gonna get 40 horsepower less, which means that you are gonna speed less fast, and you are also slower, and you are also gonna turn a little bit your turning rate is going to be a little bit worse based on the engine. So in definitive, you're gonna get something that is close to the E100 in terms of speed, and I think that Wargaming is doing that because since the 60 TP was implemented, they knew that a lot of people just did not play the E100 anymore. And it's right. I mean, who wants to play an E100 when you have the possibility of playing a 60 TP, which does the exact same thing without the struggle of getting penetrated in the turret, or even without the struggle of reloading extremely slowly. So yeah, Wargaming is doing that for the E100, so I guess that we all have to support this nerf. And finally, to finish the list, I want to talk about the Object 263 that is also getting nerfed on the mobility, and really harder than the 60 TP, because here you are going to lose 120 horsepower, which is roughly equal to 5 kilometers per hour, which means that right now, currently, if I'm going at 40 kilometers per hour, I should be around, as I'm running up a hill, at something like 32 kilometers per hour. And to be honest, I understand the nerf on the Object 263. Since Wargaming decided to buff the tank because no one was playing it, it just became too strong. You can't have the armor plus the gun plus the mobility. And even if they did that in order to counter the poor gun depression, nowadays it's just too strong. It's just too strong. So that being said, how is it going to impact the gameplay of the 263? I don't think that nothing will ever change concerning the tank, except the fact that you will not be able to relocate. So if you are getting pushed hard and you know you're going to lose the side, you will not have the possibility, like you can currently do, to avoid conflict, come back to the rest of your team and help them while just having one of the most impressive armors you can get at tier 10. So in definitive, the 263 is an exception to that list because it's still probably going to be worth it, because obviously Wargaming is also buffing some aspects on the tank, specifically the average penetration, because it's going to sit at more than 21 millimeters, which means that right now you have 290, so you're going to get something like 310. So in definitive, it's not the worst of all nerfs. But still, if you were playing the 263, or if you're looking for playing the 263 only because of its mobility, you can throw the whole tank away, and same for the Grille, because it seems like in the 9.1 update, Wargaming is just saying go away to all the tank destroyers that were known to be mobile. And I guess that overall, my opinion on that is that Wargaming wants to put back tank destroyers at their place. Because nowadays, it's too easy in World of Tank Blitz to play tank destroyer as multi-role tank. You can push, like you see in this game with the 263, so you can do the job of a heavy, you can do the job of a medium, and obviously it's not what fits the game. If Wargaming really wants players to experiment a different type of class, of tanks class, and therefore choose what is right or wrong for them, they need to truly differentiate both or every single playstyle. And by nerfing pretty much every single mobile tank destroyer, they are participating into that. But at the same time, because there is a downside, they are encouraging people to camp, because obviously if you don't have any more mobile tank, what you're gonna do with the tank destroyer is literally camping, and we all know how upsetting camping is. So anyway, this is the end of that video. I just wanted to make sure that you do not search for those tanks. At least wait for new reviews to come into the game for you to decide if yes or no it's still worth it. And hopefully you will share my opinion. If it's not the case, feel free to leave a comment explaining me why and how. And personally, I'm gonna see you soon for a new video. Bye.